Alright guys, we're on episode 4 of the KAT 350Z build. In this episode, we're going to get the fuel system all finished up for it, the exhaust, and the intercooler piping. Get mostly all the fab work done, get the car that much closer to getting on the dyno and running so we can finally hear this thing. We got the full radium drop-in unit. I've already taken it apart and put in a Warborough 450 air motor pump in there so that it's all set up, ready to just unbolt, bolt in to the car, and then wire it up. And this has to be one of the simplest and easiest solutions for the 350Z because they don't have a return line factory where now you can have a return line for whatever setup you are doing. I have made the first line. So I'm just gonna run 45s. Nice part about this radium is it's swivel, so these can really move around, allow you to get access to everything. And I was able to pass it up through here, and then I'll be able to go down here, and I'm going to run this side of the frame rail just because there's nothing here and nothing will be there because the exhaust will run this side. Got fuel lines nice and clean. It runs down, they both just drop down the back, obviously all tucked up under the car. Run to here, got your regulator, just got wire in the pump, and then we will have our fuel system done. I just have to grab an inline filter, cut the hose under the car and put that in, but I have all the fittings to do that, and it'll just be 2 rib nuts to mount it into the side of the frame rail. I quickly came over here to Adam's shop because I'm gonna vapor hone this. But first I'm gonna pull all these fittings out, and I wanna put these on the bottom anyways because I don't like how they're on the top of the intake manifold. And there's 2 screws that can be used on the bottom to do it. So I'm just gonna pull a couple fittings off just so that it doesn't get all the goo from the vapor honer on it, and then get this all cleaned up. Okay, so I've done just half, just because I wanted to give a quick little before and after. Damn, that's crazy. Okay, the intake manifold is all done, all vapor honed. Makes everything look brand new. And now we're going to hop into finishing the fuel system. We officially have a fuel filter. So we got that just inline DW160 rib nutted up. All the lines are in. Done. I've now removed the fan shroud because when Lee stopped by, he told me that I should run my intercooler piping on each side of on the insides of the frame rails, and my fan was going to stop that, or it was going to make it so hot air would be blown directly on the intercooler piping, which I don't want. So now what I'm going to do here is I have to take a flange that I got from Lee and weld it onto here, but I'm going to chop this flange off first. I got the spacer all tacked on here, just holding it in place. I went with just straight, making it look factory, just so then it doesn't look all crazy. And then it ends up working that I can just run a 90 off of the throttle body because it has to be a coupler. And then that'll just shoot it straight down beside this frame rail. I forgot to be filming what I was doing, but I am making little tabs just to go to the side of the intercooler. So I just went off of the factory crash bar support straight back to the two side parts of the intercooler. And I did the same thing on this side. I just have to tack that or weld that onto there now, and the intercooler will sit there. So I'm gonna keep focusing on this side and see where we can get to. Just been working away, and I've gotten together one intercooler pipe. So I got the cold side pipe all on here now, and it's not too bad. It ended up being pretty good. Took me a little bit to figure out. That's the first ever intercooler pipe that I've made, so a little bit of cutting and guessing, and it looks good though. Came out good. So this is why I had to redo the fan shroud, because that intercooler pipe will now run there. Okay, yesterday I just thought I kept working, forgot to film, my phone was dead, but I made the cold side intercooler piping. I think I filmed the end of that. Now, since it's all together, I decided that this is probably still nice and warm, would start welding it all together. So I'm gonna give this a go. I'm gonna try and weld all my own intercooler piping. We officially have a fully welded intercooler pipe. So I got the first one fully done. So this cold side, I just have to give bead roll on each end, and it is good. Okay, we are over here. I have the turbo up on Cricket's positioner right now. I just made a nice easy spot for this to hang and for me to position it. And I just got it tacked on there now. Everything's all square. It looks like it should be good. I'm gonna just grab it, put it in the car, make sure it fits where it needs to fit, and then we're gonna finish weld this in. I got the 90 all fully welded on there now. And I just threw a couple bolts in the back just to hold it on, just because it probably will need to be pulled off again to weld. So here, as you can see, I'm just going to run 2.5 inch clamp here, which will be perfect. Then I can come off the turbo, straight out it on 90, and do the same thing that's done on that side. So quickly pulled the front housing off the turbo. I brought the HC clamp over, so I will tack on the one side. It doesn't matter how it is as long as it sits flat, because it can sit any orientation. And then this is the special 90 that I got. So it's 2.5 in and a 3 inch on the other side. So Cricket had these because he had one on Colette's car. We got extras, so he's let me get one. I have been making progress on the intercooler pipe, and I got 2 pieces made. So this is obviously the piece that comes off the turbo with the HD clamp, drops down, and then this is the piece that comes out of intercooler. And now I'm just working on connecting them to each other. We got the intercooler piping sitting in the car, so I got the V-band on the top with the seals, and by the looks of it, it lines up really good. So as you can see, it's into the clamp up to here, so that's good. I can still get a clamp on it, and then it lines up really good. You can't even tell that it's not welded. So I'm going to mark it, take it off, weld it together. With it all marked, came back over here and I just taped it together, lined up my marks. Now I'm gonna throw some tacks on it, and then this side will be fully done. I'll have to test fit it on the car once more quickly just to make sure everything lines up. Okay, I just went and got some food, and after I was done getting food, I grabbed the intake manifold off the car because it still needs this welded. Grabbed the thermostat housing because it also still needs this part welded on it, and then the turbo because it needs this flange welded. Then I need to finish one last weld on here. So I'm gonna get all these knocked out now, and then most of the aluminum is done. Everything is all welded up now, ready to go back on the car. And while I had this out, I put a 6AN bung on there so that it can feed the coolant for the turbo, and then I'll just have to put one of these on the radiator. We will be good. Okay, we got Cricket here working late on Davis's car because it got to be running this week, but he's being nice enough to show me some little tips and tricks on how to make old V-bands work for my shit. So we're reduce, reusing, recycling. He's attacking on so I can cut it square. But we got the boys killing it on the freaking 13B S15. This is looking real good. Take a belt full manifold, everything for this car. It's so good. Okay, now that Cricket got the flange cut on the bandsaw, that is tacked on here, I can go ahead and tack these together. So this side connects to the turbo, and then this side allows me to go straight to a 3.5-inch pipe instantly for the downpipe. So I'm gonna just get this tacked together, and then we can put it in the car to figure out how to start the downpipe. I got my Vibrant 3.5 UJs in for my downpipe, or a J-bend, whatever you want to call it. And I cut the first one into a 90 already, and just tacked it on to the flange for the back of the turbo. So that is the start of the downpipe. I measured the distance that I needed and just checked it in the car. And this is good. So now we're gonna figure out how far to go before my freaking thing. I'll figure out how far to go before my flex pipe. So we're gonna put a flex pipe on the downpipe just to give it some flex in the exhaust. Not much. The motor's solid mounted, so it really doesn't matter too much, but we're gonna put flex pipe in anyways. The downpipe is officially fully welded. I'd say for my first stainless TIG that I did a pretty good job on it. I'm excited to continue to do the rest of the exhaust. I might have to just extend the bottom a little bit before the V-band just to make it so it's away from the chassis where the V-band will mount. But I shouldn't have to do any more pie cuts or anything like that. And that'll be just a nice simple downpipe. As you guys can see, it's a busy Friday night in the shop. We got John working on his car, Lawrence working on his freaking off-road rig. I just put side sliders on it, and I am working on the exhaust. V-bands showed up, so now we can start continuing the exhaust, the rest of the car, and I got the car moved over here, so I don't have to go as far to do all of that. Making progress on the exhaust. We have gotten the downpipe with a little section added to extend it so the V-band could be in a good spot to access. Then 45 just put through the straight on here, and now coming out to another 45 to get it into the tunnel, and then we'll get it out the back. The exhaust is all tacked together. I finished this at like 2 a.m. and then I forgot to film it and I just went to bed. It's now 9 a.m. and we're back out here. And now I can look at where I want hangers, so I'm thinking I'm gonna use probably one of the trans bolts to go here because I want one it's close to the bottom of the downpipe just to stop any movement. And then I will find a spot back here to put one, but I'll have to put another one probably within here. I came in here this morning, got the exhaust off the car, and just started instantly welding it. And it is now like 1 o'clock, and I just finished. So I got it all done. So I had to weld this part onto here with the V-band, and then all of these fully weld. It came out good. Now it's time to line everything back up on the car once it cools, and then make hangers to fully mount it, then pull the engine and continue doing all the stuff I need to do for prep. The exhaust is back on. The hangers are now made, so I just have to pull it off, weld it, and as I'm welding it, I'm gonna bend this plate just to contour to the exhaust, fix up on 2 bolts that weren't being used on the side of the trans tunnel. And then this was where a factory hanger was. I just made a little piece. It's gonna wrap around, and then also as I weld that, I can bend that as it gets hot. But the exhaust is fully disconnected and it is sturdy, so only need those 2 mounts and we will be good. So that's it for episode 4. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to leave a like, comment, let me know what you guys think about the car. In the next episode, we will be finishing up all the chassis wiring, getting the car fully finished to get it down to monster performance, to get Lee, to get it on the dyno, and finally hear this thing and see what kind of numbers it makes.